Hello, and thank you for joining us today. Today we will be doing the Chinese New Year lanterns craft. If you've picked up your kit, you should have the following in them. Red cardstock with a template printed on it, a yellow cardstock with a template printed on it. Note they are different shapes, only slightly. A thumbtack, a gold tassel, and a strand of some kind of yellow or gold floss, as well as some beads. And you will need to have on hand scissors, pen or a pencil, some glue, and tape. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is cut out our templates. You'll notice that there are some very thick lines for our template. What you want to do is kind of cut in between those lines, not necessarily on the edge, but definitely not on the inner edge either, just because otherwise it makes the inside a little too narrow. But you do want to get somewhat close to the inside right here. So I will show you that here in just a second. Okay, so I've cut one of my sections out. Actually went a little too deep into here, but that is a rough idea of what you want to go for. And we're going to go ahead and do that here. And then on our yellow template, something to note, I would recommend not cutting exactly around the circle, but leaving just a little bit of yellow. Just it makes it a little easier for you to grasp for the next step. But don't worry about it if that doesn't work out. All right, once you have finished cutting your two templates, you're going to flip them over. So that way the printed side is no longer visible. We're going to line these up. And you're actually going to either glue or tape them down. We'll be back with you in a minute so we can show you what that looks like. Okay, so you'll want to glue it down so that way it's nice and lined up as much as possible like this. You might have a few that aren't quite like evenly lined up, like I have one right here, but that's okay. We are going to be folding this, and the yellow is going to be that inside nice yellow lining, and that red is going to be our outside of our lantern. While it dries, we are going to go ahead and take our pin, which you should have had a thumbtack. I didn't have a thumbtack on hand, so I have one of these weird T-pins. And we're going to poke a hole through the center of all of the yellow as well as the center of the red, all the way through the yellow. And it will be easier to do it on this side because you can see the centers a lot easier. Okay, so once you have those holes poked, you're going to take a pen or a pencil and we're going to insert it into the hole, not all the way through. You don't need the pencil to go all the way through. You just need to widen it by making a gentle rotating movement until you have a bigger hole. And you'll want to do this on both sides just to kind of smooth the paper along and minimize how many things your string can get caught on in the next step. But yeah, so you want it just a little bigger, not too much bigger, but enough that your thread can fit through and it'll be easy for you. So you just have to pick the size that's going to work for you, okay? All right, this next step is a little weird. So what you're going to do is begin to roll the sides. And when I say roll, I kind of just mean like making gentle folds. So that way it kind of comes to a point like this. That helps give it that lantern shape that we're looking for. So we're gonna do that on all of the sides. And what I found helps is to just make sure that I can get these guys to line up. And we can tape down any loose ends that come up as they go, or glue down if you don't have tape on hand. All right, the next step, we're going to take some of the beads and put them on our tassel. And then after that, we're gonna take our embroidery floss, loop it through our tassel, and then I will show you how to start inserting it through the holes. All right, once you have your beads on your tassel, go ahead and insert your embroidery floss. And then we're gonna go ahead and insert through this hole. Once you have successfully pulled your tassel and embroidery floss through the hole, it should look something like this. You want it nice and secure on the bottom just to give it that fine tassel look. The next step is pretty similar. What we're going to be doing is carefully folding over these circles and pulling the embroidery floss through as we go. All right, so you're going to want to make sure it's on opposites, and as you gently pull, they'll come meet up in the center. And I found from a trial and error that it's much easier to do this and then either tape or glue down as you go. So I am actually going to tape because I happen to have tape on hand. But if you're using glue, you're going to want to hold these together good and tight so that way it dries and stays firm. And then you're going to repeat the pull through step for the next two angles of the lantern. You don't need to tape it down every time unless you want to, or glue it. Well, if you're gluing it, I would recommend gluing it every time. So I'll be with you in just a moment. All right, once you have pulled through, you're going to knot at the top and try to keep everything together. All right, once you have gotten all of those put together and finished at the top, make sure you knot it off here at the top. I did a couple of knots, and then now's the time to adjust like how you've folded it, or like mush it together, or hide any unseemly bits of tape or paper. And if you're ready to go with that, then you're good to add the rest of your beads. You don't have to add them all. I'm gonna only add like 2 or 3, but we gave you a good selection so you could have some choices. All right, once you have added your beads, make sure to knot at the top, that just keeps them in place, and then knot at the end and cut off any excess to make your loop. All right, thank you for joining us today. We have successfully created a Chinese New Year lantern in celebration of the Year of the Ox. If you enjoyed this craft and want to see what other crafts PPLD has done, you can check out our YouTube channel and just scroll through and look for the adult crafts. If you're wanting to learn more about upcoming events that are coming from PPLD, please visit ppld.org and give us a like and subscribe for our YouTube channel. Thank you. Cooper, do you like the Chinese New Year lantern?